Yes, people, good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening, and welcome back to another Transfer Watch show on Chelsea Perspective. Today, we're going to be looking at some rumors. A few of them are including the rumors that Liverpool are looking at and monitoring the Mason Mount situation. Was to talk about Rafael Leao, N'Kunku, Kante to Barcelona, and other news that may have popped up while we're preparing for the show, or other news that again those in the chat will bring up. So yeah, welcome, and I hope you're ready for it today. Let's see what we already have in the chat. We have Danny Music. He says Mount isn't going anywhere. Here's the thing again. It's difficult. It will be pretty difficult for Mount to leave Chelsea Football Club, especially again if the rumors are especially if the rumors are that he will be joining a Liverpool. But again, we'll talk about it. It's the possibility is there, no matter how you see it. I understand that Mason Mount is Chelsea through and through. Again, he's one of those players. No matter whether you think he's a bad player or a good player, he's one of those players that are very important to the club in terms of the club having a spine, if you want to phrase it that way. So yeah, let's get into it proper. Let me see. Blue Morning, a Kachila panel in chat says, Liam Lane, Blue Morning to you too. And welcome back to Chelsea. We are again in a football crisis. I wouldn't call it crisis at this point because to me, if you ask me, I'd say the solution is actually simple, but it is one solution that I don't think the new owners will apply as we may want them as quickly as we may want them to apply. Some people will say the crisis in question, you could say, stems from how poor the manager has been. Some will say that the issues lie with the players. But yeah, we'll get into it today. So let me see what we have to talk about here. We'll start straight up with this, not this one here. But yeah, but I wanted to talk about Cardi Chukwemeka's ambitions, not minding his age. He's a very, very confident player. Hopefully again, how do I phrase it? Hopefully he stays fit. I know he's capable of achieving a lot. Like for instance, he could have played at least started 3 games or played three full games on the ground, but even under Thomas Tuchel. But again, he hasn't been lucky injury wise. It's been one injury after the other, one illness after the other. Hopefully, he's back for good, and let's see what happens. This says Connie Chukwuemeka in 2023. That's quoting him. Vince is quoting Connie Chukwuemeka. I want to kick on and break into the team to make my Champions League debut, to keep my confidence high, to build on my past performances and as much as again, it was my dream to play for Chelsea. It is also my dream to play for my country, England. I think him breaking into the English national team will also broaden his chances, of becoming a regular starter at Chelsea Football Club. But the only issue for me is this: if I'm being honest, there's no clarity. Again, when you talk about Carney Chukwuemeka, we must be clear that there's no clarity on where we know he fits in the team proper. This again, I know there are some people who know him quite well that are able to tell, who followed him during his days at Aston Villa, who'll be able to say again, if you ask them, they'll be able to say, okay, you know what, um, these are the positions that he can actually play. So again, we're not sure what position he fits into. That's a chance he turns out to be the creator, the much needed creator in the team. Because from the little we've seen, he's actually a fine player. Let me see what else I have here. Again, installation mount list. It's as much as it sounds easy, as much as again, it'd be easy to come to the conclusion that he's going to leave Chelsea Football Club. I do not think it's easy. Do I think again? I'm going to repeat myself. Do I think it's the best player at Chelsea? No. Do I think it's the worst? No. And I talked about in detail yesterday what I think Mount's problems has been because he has the potential to be one of the best players in the world, if we're being honest. But his biggest issue has been how managers perceive him, even from Frank Lampard to Thomas Tuchel to Graham Potter, they all prioritize his industry over his again technical abilities or other things that he can bring to the team. And that's an unfortunate situation for him. So in the case of Mount, I think I think he may well need to leave Chelsea Football Club to reach his full potentials, really. Because at Chelsea will always be about his industry, his pressing up front and all those nonsense, which you could say stifles his ability, development as a player. Again, he'll end up being known for his industry and not his technical ability. Let me see what else we have here. Santiago Muno, big up to you, brother. Again, I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for finding the time to join. And please, people, if you haven't, go check out Z Voice, Matt Z Voice YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. He's inching closer to 1,000. But seriously, Mount should have at least 3,000 subscribers. But I know he will get there. The first 1,000 is usually the most. 1,000 is usually the most difficult. Morning to you, Santiago Munoz. I hope you're doing well. Again, just saying hello to people there. Liam, let me see. Liam Len here says again, Carney is the type of player we need, one that wants to be at the club. And anyone that's having dogs, just let them go. Let them go, no matter how big their name is. Yes, that's very critical, and that's why I'm happy that we're bringing in uh Fofana David again. What's his name? Is it Datro Fofana? The fact that again he really does want to play for Chelsea Football Club. He idolizes Didier Drogba, and when asked, it's on video again. He said he wants to play in the Premier League, specifically Chelsea Football Club. And he's if I hope I don't misquote him, he says something to the effect of again Chelsea. Why hating his Chelsea? He loves Chelsea, and he just doesn't know why. And that's the type of player you want to see at the club. Carney wants to play for Chelsea, yes, but here's where I have a problem now. We're not sure what role he'd be able to fulfill for us comfortably, or again to execute for us comfortably or consistently and do well in it. We've seen a bit of what he's capable of doing. We've seen he's a ball carrier. We've seen he's good with his feet. He's good at escaping tight spaces. But overall, the truth remains Carney Chukwuemeka is the unknown at this point until we see him again play an ample amount of game time at the club. Then we'll be able to say specifically this guy is going to be able, he will be able to fulfill this role for us. But let's see what happens. I get your point. The big names don't work anymore. And again, I would say, again, I'm happy that it seems like as if the club is beginning to realize, maybe because of the change of ownership or something, the club is beginning to realize that we don't need to spend that much money to get good talent, to get players that will help us again, go places or win stuff. But that's by the way. Big up to you too, Matt, brother. Please, if you haven't, go check out Zvoy YouTube channel and be sure to subscribe. He should have at least 3,000 subscribers, but he's inching closer to his first 1,000. So that's some good news there. Let me see what else we have here. Good morning, Abhisha Moha. Good morning to you too. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. And please, if you haven't, I should comment in, take a second to drop a like on the stream to help us reach more people, because the more you like the video, the more the YouTube algorithm will be triggered, and the more people will be able to reach. So I share in the chat if you have any question, if you have any play you'd like us to talk about, please drop it there. I'll try to address it. Yep, thank you. So that's it for the Carney Chukwuemeka. This one says Liverpool are keeping an eye on Mason Mount situation at Chelsea Football Club. The England star is out of contract in 2024 and has so far failed to agree a new one with the Blues. Again, here's the thing. As much as I know, again on paper, or you can say on a again, if you look at the situation on a surface level, or looking at the fact that Mount is Chelsea through and through, he's a Chelsea academy product, you may well come to that conclusion that he's not going to leave Chelsea Football Club. But the truth remains, anything is possible. There are a couple of factors why there's a chance Mount would want to leave. The first one is, again, I'm sure he's well aware that he divides opinion at the club. Again, the truth is a lot of, again, not just again a tiny portion. A lot of, again, many Chelsea fans don't like him really. Every time they hear that a certain club is looking at Mason Mount, You'd hear them going, let them take him. But the truth is, again, I think the whole thing again, that stereotype from the managers that Mason Mount has played on the at Chelsea Football Club. I think that mentality of saying Mount as just again a hard-working player, an industrious player, not looking beyond those again, looking at beyond Mount's industry and look at that he's still very young, that he's a technically gifted player, that he's a creator too on his day. But unfortunately, that stereotype has actually stifled his development to a certain a concerning measure that every manager that he works under only values the most his industry on the pitch, which is the reason why under Thomas Tuchel, for instance, even when he's mentally tired, you still see him on the pitch because he's still that type of player that runs and runs and runs even when he's mentally tired. The only thing that will show you that he's mentally tired is the final decision making. So that's an unfortunate situation for Mason Mount. And here's why I say again, the possibility of him leaving is there, no matter how we see it. No, again, notwithstanding the fact that he's again a Chelsea Academy product, is Chelsea through and through, and the importance of keeping him at the club. Again, if he stays at the club, he's one of those players again that's part of the construct of the team's spine of make again where you see that team spirit at Chelsea. I think Mount brings that, and that's why it's not going to be easy for him to leave, but the possibilities there, given that, then I don't care what anybody else says, there will not be shortage of clubs looking to take him. Even if you think he's the worst player at Chelsea or the best player at Chelsea, notwithstanding that, there won't be shortage of clubs are looking to take Mount from Chelsea Football Club. And there's a chance, again, he feels like, again, the this again, I think Chelsea left it too late at this stage of his contract. He has just 2 years left. He'd have just 2 years left on his contract in 2023, which means he has all the cards. Again, the club is in a very precarious situation in terms of negotiating with him or negotiating a favorable deal to them. If anybody gets, again, I think Mount is in a better position to negotiate a more favorable deal for him, and that it makes it even more difficult. But we'll see what happens. I'd like him to stay at the club because I understand, again, he has the potential to be one of the best in the world. I know he hasn't been in best of forms, but that can change. Mount, it can go, bring in Madison. That's the thing. That's a mindset of Chelsea football, Chelsea fan base. If they hear that any club wants to take Mount, they're all in for it. But let's see what happens. It's up to the club and what and how again Graham puts the season. More importantly, that's key to whether the club again to whether the club keeps him or not. I'm not sure why I'm not able to highlight comments here. Let me see. Let me see if I can just quickly. I need to be seeing again. I need to be able to highlight stuff here, and I haven't been able to do that. I just don't know why. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. I'll get back to you in a bit. I can't highlight all the comments here, and I just don't know why it is not happening. So I'll try to open another screen, another screen here to see if that sorts out the issue. Okay, there you go. We're back again. Sorry about that. I lost connection and was not able to share my screen. I'm not sure why that's happening. And again, it looks like it's still happening too. Let's see. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. Again, technology can be very quirky. I think I've read this one. Yep. This says I think Chelsea need to sign a new players in January. Oh, that's for sure. We're going to sign at least 3 players in January. Or again, but the question is, are we going to sign players that will solve the issues I have? To me, I did speak about it at length yesterday. our priority should be signing players who are capable of creating again clear-cut chances from the central area, and not just again out the whole of again 90% to 80 to 90% of the chances we create at Chelsea coming from the flanks, which is very easy to stop. But let's see what happens in here. We have again a Mount is not effective. Madison is effective and efficient. And good luck getting Madison. It will be an expensive buy. And given how many players we're looking at, Rafael Leao again, and there are rumors that also we're looking at João Felix, and then we're also looking at again a few other players, plus Vardiol himself. I don't think the club will be spending that much money in the January transfer window. So yeah, again, that's why I say probably at least at most three signings. To me, if it goes anything beyond that, I'd be surprised. But let's see. Madison will be very expensive. And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he extend his contract at Leicester City? I want to know if he did. Then it'd be even difficult to get him. Mount is not worth 300K a week. I'm not sure how much again the club are offering, how much he wants. Everything we hear, those are all just speculations. There's no way to tell what he's asking and what the club is willing to offer. So yeah, we're moving from that. Against this again, I wouldn't be sad or surprised if he leaves. And again, you can say it's the same with many Chelsea fans, and that's why I say, yeah, I'm sure Mount himself is well acquainted of how he divides opinion at Chelsea, and probably wouldn't hesitate to leave if the opportunity comes. But that's by the way. Again, if you're watching, if you haven't, please do take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you have. We have just 16 likes. Again, we haven't streamed consistently in a while, so that's not surprising. But I was surprised yesterday we got 45 likes. I appreciate that. We need efficient players, not a player again that performs once every now and then. Again, that is a common occurrence in the current Chelsea squad. You could say that may well be down to lack of again players playing consistently together. Lot of changes in the team, or the manager not really sure if it started in 11. But again, we have time now. On the 27th, we have our first game after the World Cup, and all the subsequent games will give us time enough or enough sample to say maybe the manager is the issue or something else. Deal CFC, big up, brother. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. I hope you're doing well. He says, big up, Pachila. Good to see you back streaming, brother. Hope you are well. Again, a run up the likes. Again, yeah, I'm better, brother. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. Bonus, again, try this again. I hope everyone is good. Just make sure you hit the like button, people, and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, 17 likes. Let's get it up high. Mount won't leave Chelsea. I think so too, but the possibility is there. Again, the longer again the saga of his contract continues, the more the possibility of him leaving the club emerges. Mount will come to an agreement with Todd in February or on new contract. Mount said after the Newcastle again, they're gonna come back strong after the break. Yeah, but again, I'm not sure what to say about that really. Okay, Tobago, coming to you, brother. How are you doing? Let me know when you're able to talk again. I'm going to continue again getting what we have in the chat again. Like the World Cup, Kulis says the World Cup was brilliant. I think it was one again the best again of all the World Cup I've seen. It was colorful. It was eventful. Again, eventful in the sense that again there were lots of surprises. It wasn't the World Cup for the big boys. Again, the underdogs did quite well. Especially Africa has now a new, you could say a new measure to always try to outdo. Making it to the semifinals, that's huge. Again, I think it's a reflective of how much football has changed overall. But let's see what happens here. Hi, there's a CFC. You can just say hello to each other. Just give me 1 second here. We'll continue with what we have. 1 second. Yep. So for me, I know you were asking again. You were asking the coolest chess at Tobago, but to me, it was a brilliant World Cup. So Mount Kate, if you're in the chat, let me know what you think about Mount again situation. I really want to get your thoughts on that. Let's see what else we have in the chat. Adil says again, just saying hello to Lam. how much again would Mount cost Liverpool to buy him? He has just again. Let me see. He has about 2.5 years left on his contract. If I correct me if I'm wrong, because in 2023, not even 2.5. He has just call it 2 years left on his contract. So he won't even be that expensive. That is if Chelsea are willing to sell really. But I still doubt Chelsea will sell him. But the longer, like I said before, the longer the transfer negotiation goes, the longer again, the more time it takes to find a solution to that contract renewal. Again, the more the possibility of him leaving. Uh, and again, I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people don't think big clubs are looking at the situation. They are monitoring the situation, but they know fully well Mount leaving Chelsea Football Club isn't going to be easy. So probably they don't see it they don't see again, the opportunity as being possible at this point. They still believe he's going to remain at Chelsea. But be rest assured, if we get going into 2023 and nothing changes, you see a lot of clubs again looking at to sign him. He has again, more importantly, that industry, which I say may well have been the reason he hasn't reached where a lot of people are expecting him to reach, because what managers value the most about Mason Mount is this industry, and unfortunately for him, that has become an issue really. But that's, by the way, I'm not sure how much. But right now, let me just quickly look at his transfer market value. Usually gives you an estimate of again what a player is what will be worth, or the price it go for. So let me see. Mason Mount. Mason Mount transfer market. Just give me 1 second. I'll find out for you. There you go. Let's look at it quickly. Let's see what that says. So while I wait for it to load, okay, it's again contract expires in 2024. So he has, you can say it's just 2 years left on his contract. The market value here says 75 million euros, which should be around 55 to 60 million pounds. But even I don't think he'd go for 75 million because he has just 2 years left on his contract. Plus, again, I'd say again, if he decides he wants to leave, that again will cut into the quoted price on this website here. I don't think he'd go anything close to 75 million, given that he doesn't have that much left on his contract. So yeah, that makes a huge difference. But again, Mount, again, let's pay attention to this. Mount is just 23, but unfortunately for him, he's been there. Again, it just seems as if he's been there forever. He's one of those players, him, Joao Felix, Kai Havertz, because of how much game, how many times we've seen them, and at the level at which they've played, we seem to expect too much of them, forgetting these players are actually still developing. But that's, by the way, again, I think Leipzig, a technical director guy, will be joining Chelsea on Friday. I am not gonna, I have to be honest, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. That is something we've been saying since summer. Again, until that happens, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna believe it until it happens. Then that's when I say, okay, you know what? Yeah, he's joined us. I'm not sure what the holdup is. Again, if you just joined in, if you haven't, take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you finding time to join. Again, I think Omari Hutchinson and Lewis Hall and Cassidy and Charlie Webster will be the youngsters that like come through the team, come after the break. I think already again, what's his name? Lewis Hall has again, he'd already been promoted to the first team. Omari Hutchinson, there's space for him. The only again, the only thing he has to do is take the opportunity when it comes. For again, who else? Charlie Webster. I'm not sure about him at this point because again, we have a large squad, no matter, but what we don't have is a balanced squad. But for Lewis Hall, he's definitely part of the first team. Omari Hutchinson, he will get his chance given the last time I heard Potter speak about him, he sang in praises, talking about how good the player is. But that's, by the way, here we have again this talk that Cassidy is going on loan. Yeah, I read that, and I'm not happy. He's good. You could argue he's better than some of the players that play centrally there. I'd keep him in the team and let what's his name, Denis Zakaria, go back to Juventus. Honestly, I'm not sure why. Again, but I just say maybe that's just a speculation. Let me just say that way. Maybe that's just a speculation. I don't think he'd leave because he has the quality to be part of the first team and do well after all. In January, as they wanted to push his progress to get ready for the first team, I think he's ready for the first team given the quality he's produced and the academy team and all that. Give him a chance. But again, they see him on the training pitch, so it's not my decision to make. Big up, guys. Again, yes, guys. My brother Bobby says, smash the like button, people. We have 21 likes already, and that's surprising. I didn't know we'd get to 21 likes as quickly as we've done so far. So please, again, like the video. Do you think Mount will leave in January? And which team do you think he will join? Here's the thing. I have to be honest again. It's a difficult one. Mount is Chelsea through and through. And I don't know if you heard me when I tried to explain why it'd be difficult for the club to let him go. For again, every team has what you could call a spine. And Mount, again, he's one of the players that make up the construct of Chelsea Football Club's spine, given that he's Chelsea through and through and what he's capable of doing. But unfortunately for him, I'm going to repeat myself again. The issue, the Mount's biggest problem is that again, managers don't look beyond the industry he brings to the team. From Lampard to Thomas Tuchel, especially under Thomas Tuchel, where we witnessed Mount again when a situation where Mount was mentally tired and yet he gets to play week in and week out. The only thing that will show you that this guy is mentally tired is again his decision making. So unfortunately for him, managers value, you could argue the managers value his industry over, again, his technical ability and what else he can bring to the team. But that's, by the way, just quickly, I want to catch up with what we have in the channel now, bring in Bobby into the conversation. Big up, again, a chill, Mount won't leave. It's easy to say. He has just 2 years left on his contract, and that's dangerous, really. I have, again, the bigger chance of winning the lottery than Mount has to leave Chelsea. I hope that's the case because he still has a lot to offer. I know he hasn't been in great form in recent years, but that can change. Bobby, how are you doing, brother? How are you doing, Bobby? I still cannot hear you. I'm not sure why that is. If you're in the chat, let me know. Let me make sure it's the problem isn't mine. If you can hear Bobby and I can hear him, please let me know. Let me check here if that's the case. Yeah, it looks like Bobby is still having an audio issue because I can only hear myself here and not Bobby. But that's, by the way, again. I'm gonna put up a poll. Let me see what you think about the possibility of Mount leaving. Oh, so can you? Did you say you can hear Bobby? I can't hear Bobby really. Bobby, can you say something? Let me see if I can hear you. I couldn't hear Bobby really. All right, let me put up a poll here and see can whether you think Mount will leave Chelsea Football Club. Give me a minute. Okay, I see. Yeah, do you think Mason Mount will leave Chelsea Football Club? And I think I'm gonna ask a follow-up question whether you'd like to see him leave Chelsea Football Club. Let me see what we have here again. We hear you. Okay, okay. Thank you so much again. The issue remains, Bobby. So let's see what happens. He's been struggling with his audio. Uh, so again, the possibility is there, but to me, I still think it's going to be a really, really difficult. So let's see what next we have here. Let's talk about again Rafael Leao. This one isn't going to be easy. As much as the argument will come into play is that AC Milan will struggle to keep him, given again the possibility of them paying him how much he's asking, or paying him anything close to what Chelsea would want to pay him. That's one factor. Another factor is the fact that there are other clubs looking at him. And again, we're not sure whether we're going to make it into top four and over again, and in turn participate in the next edition of the UEFA Champions League. And again, we're not sure we're not sure if we're well equipped actually to win the current edition, which will again uh, enable us to participate in the next edition, even if we don't win. Again, even if we don't get into top four. So here, this is Fabrizio Romano quoting the AC Milan manager. AC Milan manager purely on Rafael Leao. I advise him to sign a new deal and stay at Milan. I see Rafa very happy here. He's happy. That's the truth. Again, but again, every time we talk about this, we must first of all recognize that it is business for the players as much as it is business for the club. They want to earn more money. And again, if any clubs gives them more money and provide Champions League football also, because that's important to them, they'd leave. And in most cases, that some of them actually will go to the club that give them the most money because it's business for everyone involved. If they believe the club will soon again be playing in the Champions League. On Chelsea links, Leao here will have the chance to improve again. He feels good again at Milan with this group. Yeah, again, in terms of improvement, he can also improve at Chelsea Football Club. But it's again, it has become even more complicated if we're being truthful here, given all other reasons that I've explained. And if you're in the chat, if you think that Rafael Leao again, that he still come to Chelsea Football Club Europe, you let me know. I want to get your thoughts on what you think about the situation. Let's see what we have here. Nope. Okay, hit the like button. Let me look at the poll. 60% thinks Mason Mount will not leave Chelsea Football Club, while 40% thinks he'd leave the club. And we have just 5 votes. But the question is, why has it been difficult? Why hasn't the club again and Mason Mount's club come to an agreement? Which means again, which means there's a chance he leaves, no matter how you see it. But that's why I still do think it will be pretty difficult for him to leave. So let's go back to Rafael Leao. I've again, the last time we talked about Leao, to me, I say again, since we're looking for creators, we're looking for players who are capable of creating chances from the central position, so that again we don't only create chances from the flanks, crosses, whether on the carpet, whether on the air. I think while Felix again will make a huge difference in terms of his ability to create chances from the center area. But it just seems as if the club are bent on bringing in Rafael Leao. Do I think he'd make it again in the Premier League? There's no talent until we sign him. That's when we can we see it again firsthand whether he'd be capable of again making it in the Premier League. But I think he's a good player, and already he hasn't even joined us, and a lot of people are complaining about his, how do I phrase it, about his again how he operates on the pitch, how he doesn't track back and all that, which I argued then there's a chance him not tracking back was again an approach to try to hit us on the break, because if we kept the ball more than they did, again, especially at home. So if they get the ball from us and they don't have anybody positioned to help orchestrate a break or counterattack effectively, then it's an issue. So I've looked beyond that, knowing there's a chance him not tracking back on the day could have been the manager's preferred approach to the game, to have somebody up front in case they get a chance to hit us on the break. But there's no talent, just like every other player, until he joins Chelsea Football Club, and then we'll see firsthand whether the Premier League suits him. Bobby, let me know again. Let's see if your microphone is working now.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, crystal clear. Thank you so much for taking the time to fix it. I'm going to take you back a bit, Bobby, and more importantly, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm okay. I had to change device. It seems I bought a whole new device that I struggled to get onto Streamline with. So it's the old one
sorry
that
to hear that.
I'm working with now.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. It will take time for you to get again understand because sometimes the browsers are the issues. So, Bobby, let's talk about the Mason Mount situation. I know, and he's been again in poor form of late.
Hmm.
Start many games as many people thought he'd start. The rumors that Liverpool are monitoring the situation, I'm not surprised because that's a good player in him, no matter how you see it. And what do you think about the rumors?
Yeah, I mean, any club will monitor the situation. Monitoring the situation doesn't mean to say you're going to get the player. It's
Hmm.
just to see whether there's a chance to get the player. Um, I don't know. There's a lot that's going to be happening in Chelsea as far as personnel and board is concerned over the next few months and is already in process.
Hmm.
I'm not sure Mason Mount is one of those players on the exit list. There will be a couple, some of which many of us may not like,
Hmm.
some of which many of us will like. My eye is on those staying and those coming. I think it's more important for Chelsea the players they are getting than the players they are letting go. That's where my focus is. I don't think Mason Mount is one of them, and particularly to a rival, unless there are specific advantages to Chelsea, or unless the manager doesn't want him, which is unlikely. So these stories will always come up. Unfortunately, they're pushed more by Chelsea fans than anybody else, but so be it. Rumors of his wage demands and that, I don't know. I don't know. If he's demanding too much, then this is possibly true. But will Liverpool pay him those exorbitant wage demands? I doubt it.
But if we're
So,
being honest, Bobby, in 2023 he'd have just 2 years left on his contract.
mhm.
That's dangerous, really, and that makes it even more difficult for the club to come to a solution that's favorable to them. If anything, Mount has the upper hand right now.
Why?
Two
It's
years left on
two
his
two
contract.
years. 2 years is
Yeah,
not 1 year. There's still time to negotiate.
yeah, but it still puts again it still makes it difficult for the club.
Why?
Two
two
years
years
is
left on the contract is about
yeah.
the time that most people negotiate new contracts, isn't it? Why? Is Mount, are clubs ready to pay Mount so much money? If, for example, I don't know if it's true, but if it is true, he's asking for 300K a week. Is Liverpool
No,
really
but that
going to
that could
pay
be
him
all
that amount?
speculation. But go ahead.
That's the only sticking point, unless he's been lying to us and saying he doesn't, like Chelsea and he wants to move on. It's got to be money. Now, if money is the issue, if there are clubs ready to pay him 300K a week, then, Chelsea have some competition and need to consider whether they should do the same to keep hold of one of their players. Yes, he's been off form, but, Mount means a little bit more to Chelsea than just his form. His form is very, very important, but it's the profile and the pedigree that he carries in terms of a youth academy graduate, and that's why the club will need to try and persist with him. But Liverpool paying him 300K, I have my very, very, very big doubts. I don't think so. I think this is just to try and either push the deal along, flag up to the club that yes, he is in demand, and he will be in demand. He's a useful player for sure, and let the club feel there's competition for him, and probably there is. But I'm not sure about this one at all. 2 years
Yeah,
is still
but
enough
yeah,
of a contract.
yeah. Something that's very obvious is how that the fact that he divides opinion in the Chelsea fan base. I'll give you an example. This is not name calling by any means necessary. Again, the debate is out there. Johnny, for instance, doesn't think Mount puts a foot wrong. Matt thinks Mount is the biggest
Yeah,
problem at Chelsea Football Club. But just quickly, again, I'll come back to you. Yes, people will have
I,
27
I
likes
love I
again.
love Johnny. I love Johnny to bits. I
Yeah,
really
again,
do.
he's my
He's
friend
an
too. But
absolute
again,
geezer, but
yeah,
he's excessive with Mount, I've got to say. I don't
Yeah.
know what
Eh,
he goes too far. I've got to say. That's
yeah,
the
the argument there is to a comical extent, actually. The thumbnail is too funny, coach. Thank you very much, brother. I hope you're doing well. And when you get a chance, please do share the link to your channel. And don't forget to invite us all. Again, Bobby and everybody here. We're family, especially Bobby, I know would always, again, want to join a panel and talk Chelsea. And again, yeah, thank you so much. Share the link to your channel so people can go check it out. When is Rhys James back then? Again, I think he'd be ready. He'd be can I think he'd be fit enough to play against Bomber, but we'll see what happens. Again, good afternoon, Claire and Lau, says Judge G. Thank you very much. So Bobby, let's talk about again that again again how Mount divides opinion. Uh, to put it again, how I usually put it, Johnny Mineras doesn't think Mount has a toilet in his house. He doesn't think Mount poops. While if you ask Matt, Matt thinks Mount actually goes around with toilet on his neck because he poops all the time. Um, to me, I've looked at it. It took me time because I don't think Mount is a bad player. I don't think he's the best player at Chelsea. I don't think he's the worst player at Chelsea. And I recognize fully well that he's still, again, he's still a player that's still developing. But he's one of those players, again, he's the same category as Rafael Leao, Kai Havertz, some of these, Rhys James, these players that they've been around for a while now, that it's easy to look beyond their age to expect them to be performing as if they're at their peak. All of them. In the case of Mount, I think the issue, his biggest problem is managers seem to value his industry more than his technical ability or more than where they play him and get the best out of him and get him play as a creator and get him, show what he's capable of doing. And like I've said before, that is especially true under Thomas Tuchel, which was one of the reasons why, even when Mount was mentally tired, because Mount can be mentally tired and still run 120 minutes on the pitch. And again, if you're not paying attention to his decision making, you will not recognize that he's tired. I think that's again, to me, inadvertently has become a problem to his detrimental to his development as a young player. Bobby, what do you think, really?
I think two things work for and against Mason Mount. Before I say that, football and what we all do on these channels is basically we give our opinions. Sometimes they're biased. People like certain players, others don't. And I've never really been a player fan. I've always been a club fan.
Yep, you've
Um,
always prioritized the
you know,
club. I know that.
and but some people like their players. There are some players I'm fond of and tend to be a little bit lenient with because I see some value in them beyond the form they're currently showing. But this
Mm-hmm.
happens. However, down to Mason, yeah, Mason. It seems managers, certainly the last few managers um, uh, we've had, tend to value him more for his industry
Mm-hmm.
than capability. Really, I think that he has a lot to learn. I think it is unfair, and you're very right that many people have expectations beyond his years, especially people like him and Havertz. I think that's very, very true. However, football at the highest level is a brutal industry as well as it's a great industry. And, development really needs to take place quickly if you want to be regarded as amongst the best. For
Mm-hmm.
me, in the midfield, the performances of people like Enzo Fernandez and indeed, I've forgotten his first name now, McAllister from Brighton at the World
And
Cup has
The Argentine too.
yeah, has really shown me that if you're good enough, you're old enough, and sometimes you don't need to be old enough to be good enough, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Mount really needs to pull his socks up. I think two things work for and against Mount. I think he plays far too many games. If you look at the performances of the best players, the newly found best players in the World Cup, Buffal, McAllister, Fernandez. I'm not including Mbappe and Messi in that because they play too many games
Hmm.
because of their ability anyway. But the best players haven't don't play too many games. They just play an average number. And so they had enough energy and fitness to perform at the World Cup. Mount plays too many games, that's for sure. Whether that's his doing or the manager's doing, I think it's not good. And this is where the new Chelsea have to be very invested in the squad. I've always been about the squad. I have no problem with seeing players on the bench at certain times. I think it's good for them sometimes, and I think it's certainly good for the club. It's good
Hmm.
for their form, their fitness, and longevity. So the things that work for Mount is his industry. The things that work against him is his nationality, and because of his industry, he's being overplayed. And he likes to play. Mount is one of those players that likes to play and doesn't understand that he needs to be managed like everybody else. And I can imagine he's one of those players that
And too young
becomes
to play
quite
that many games.
exactly. And you can see from a lot of his facial expressions and things that he becomes quite difficult when he's not playing as much as he likes. But, that's the manager's job. The manager has to be strong, has to explain to him, look, son, you can't play always. I mean, look at how they managed a player that I really like so much, although he's injured again. This guy in Juventus. Oh gosh. Oh, what's his name? Oh,
What for? What club?
Fiorentina went to Juventus.
Oh,
Juventus came from Fiorentina.
yeah.
Oh gosh,
The is it
fantastic
Sabian?
player.
What's his name again?
Chiesa,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go. Okay,
Chiesa,
Kiesi, okay.
Federico Chiesa.
Hmm.
Excellent player. He likes to play, and boy, is he effective. But you see, because of the way he plays, he needs to be managed, and he was being played only for 60 minutes maximum each game and every other game. And this is in Italy where the pace is slow. So Mount is the same thing, and he needs to understand that. He needs a manager to explain that to him, that is what he needs to become the best. Because two things Mount is missing from his game: finishing, for sure, which will damage his career if he doesn't get that right soon, because of where he plays, and at times his passing and creativity is wanting. But is he a great player to have in the squad? Absolutely. Is he the future of Chelsea? Absolutely. He's one of them. Is he a future Chelsea captain? I have a question mark on that because I'm beginning to see that yes, the future Chelsea captain has to be from one of the likes of Mount and Reece James and so on. But we need somebody who has that leadership quality, a leader, a man that is seen when things aren't going well and
Hmm.
is rallying the troops. I'm not sure Mount is that person. Reece James can be that person if he's fit, but I'm not sure Mount is that person.
Yeah, we haven't
Uh,
seen anything that indicates he will, yeah, actually sometime in the future become one. Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
Lewis Hall perhaps, but for his age,
Hmm.
I'm talking of the next captain after Aspie. Um, so yeah, I mean, Mount's definitely for Chelsea. Definitely should be part of the Chelsea rebuild. The Liverpool talk at the moment is just talk. I would rather not believe it. I don't see the value in it for him or either club.
Yeah, yeah. Even
Liverpool,
for Liverpool, yeah. But I
yeah,
just said that,
they're
yeah.
just they're
Hmm.
quite mischievous that lot. I was on another platform where there was a Liverpool fan banging on about Pulisic, yada yada yada, and I just asked him a simple question, mate. So Pulisic comes to you to sit on the bench, right? Because who's he going to play for? They have so
Hmm.
many. Yeah, Diego Jota. I forgot the name of some of the new guys they've got. They've got so many midfielders. So who's he going to play for? So that's all nonsense. They 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 love to destabilize a lot, that fan base. They love throwing things when they see you coming to threaten them. They're experts at this sort of thing. Putting rumors, all that nonsense. So
Yeah,
I don't see
go
Mount
ahead.
going anywhere.
Yeah, let me catch
Tell
up
you
on
who
the
I am
chat.
worried about though,
Yeah, who?
Kante.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
I
I
hate
have
to
him on the
say, I
list.
think he's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have him on the list. Just
All
one
right.
second again. Do you want Mason Mount to leave Chelsea? 44% says yes. 56% says yes. The first poll asked the question: do you think Mason Mount will leave Chelsea? 72% thinks no, and 27% thinks no. So I'll let this one. Whether again, let's see where that one takes us to. Again, says again. Hope the last part of the season is injury free, and if it was up to me, Mason Mount would see his career out at Chelsea. He's still our best young player. He is one of again. I'm not one of those that's arguing he's not good enough for Chelsea. I think it's good enough for Chelsea. I think the problem with him lies elsewhere. His industry, which again managers hardly look beyond that. First, they prioritize his industry, and that's why they always want him on the pitch. That pressing you see up fronts, a lot of running and all that, and that has become inadvertently become detrimental to his development as a young player. So again, he may well look at it and think maybe he's better off developing elsewhere. But let's see what happens. Graham Potter deployed Alexis to number 6. Look at him now. But some people won't give credit to Mr. Potter. I'm not here to argue, but I have my arguments about Potter. And again, another day I'll talk more about that. Good day, everyone. Hope Chelsea can recover after great World Cup. I hope we do. As much as we have our players at World Cup, it's again that the number of players we had there were lucky. Some of them returned early, but player like Kovacic, I would have loved them to return earlier than usual. But that's just me being selfish. Just a conversation between them. Supreme Quartz, I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. Ireland have a claim on the World Cup. There's a lot of Irish blood in Kevin McAllister. He has a lot of family here. Wow, I didn't know that. Approximately 70% of Argentina is of Irish background. Wow, that's a good lesson in history. I didn't know that really. Just like Africans who again stake the claim that they've won the World Cup given France's exploit.
Exactly. That's not necessarily a good thing.
It's not really. Yeah, it's
There's a
not.
lot of bad things about Argentina as a nation.
Yep, I know. I know we
So
talked about that in
I
bits,
would rather
but
not.
we're not going to let them drag us into politics. I
Yeah.
know their history too, Bobby. Again, so this is just people having a conversation here. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I want to come back to Bobby again. I maintain the same stance on Mount. He has to earn that contract extension. He's a solid player, but this season, he's really seems to have let the hype get to his head. He has to perform. To me, I don't think his behavior is actually is an issue. He's a humble player, really. If he isn't, I think by now we should have heard at least on 3 occasions how he has had issues with manager playing him out of position or playing him in multiple positions. Hi, coach says my friend Lolo. I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for finding the time to join the show. Anything else? Again, Colin Moran. Thank you so much for joining the show. He says I think he will leave because, to be honest, he doesn't suit Chelsea's play. I think he suits Liverpool more, and think Liverpool will get more out of him. If that's what you think, let's see what happens. Bobby, let's talk about this man right here. I even talked about him to an extent that my friend, I know you know, Mikhail and brother, started saying I have an agenda for N'Golo Kante. Two things I'm concerned about. Now, after the surgery, you could argue that he has again, he's actually he's actually corrected the issue, and it won't repeat that much. And another thing I'd like again, we have if we're being factual, we're the ones that ran him into the ground. We again because of how important he's been to us and how important he's been to the French national team. The Champs didn't help matters either. The slightest he recovers, he pulls them into the fold. Same thing with Chelsea Football Club. The moment he recovers, not even we don't even give him time enough to recover fully. We pull him in. And I knew before time that it was going to be very difficult to keep him. Why do I say that? The previous owners had 3+1 contract offer on the table for him, and the new owners changed it to 2+1. If I was N'Golo Kante, if I were N'Golo Kante, I'd feel disrespected too. And how Thomas Tuchel, as much as I love him, spoke openly about how the club has to factor in his injury record into the new contract. To me, I didn't like that. I feel disrespected. I feel like, oh, now I'm not that important. Now I'm injury prone. Because we and France, we were the reason why, again, we didn't manage his fitness quite well. But Bobby, go ahead. I know you were willing to talk about him here. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah, I think to an extent you're right. I think Chelsea as a club, in fact, every club from Leicester onwards, have run him into the ground, and certainly Deschamps ran him into the ground. I personally believe that N'Golo Kante was single-handedly responsible for Chelsea winning the Champions League and single-handedly responsible for France winning the World Cup.
Yep,
Back in 2008.
yep.
I really believe that. I know that. I know that without him, a lot of things would not have happened. I think Kante was a huge part of our UEFA Cup win, and also a huge part of our Premier League win when he came from Leicester.
Yeah, you can say
Massively,
everything we've won since he joined us.
everything. So, and usually when he's not fit, that's when Chelsea struggle. So I think he is priceless. N'Golo Kante is one of the world greats. He is immaculate. He's one of the best, if not the best, in his position.
Hmm.
Trouble is, football is not a sentimental game. And winning football, when you're rebuilding a structure, you have to take into consideration what your plans are. And you look at a player like that and you ask yourself, is he going to be a part of the plans, or is he so good that he is above the plans? Personally, as you've said, his surgery is there to correct the issue. If not, well, we can't say what was the point. If not, but
Hmm.
that was the purpose. Will it correct the issue? Actually, time will tell. Surgery is a part of the correction of a problem, but it can never really get things back to what they were before the surgery, if you know what I mean. So, will Kante have to develop a new way of playing? I don't think it's possible. I think the way he plays is who he is, and he has to be able to do that to maintain his standard. It's a very, very, very difficult
Uh,
one. The
yeah,
two
it is.
plus one, 3+1 was offered to him, and now 2+1 is being offered to him. However, it's not disrespectful because at the time 3+1 was offered to him, it has evolved into what 2+1 is now. If you know what I mean, it becomes the same length of time in terms of his playing contract and his age. So it's
And
not a
how old
disrespect.
and the fact that he's older now.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a year down the line. So a year down the line has reduced that extra year that was offered to him the year before. So I don't think he's being disrespected. I think there's an element of Kante himself maybe wanting to move on for two reasons. One, climatic reasons. I think when you have more injuries and you're older in your career,
Hmm.
you feel that playing in the sun in a less rigorous league will help your longevity. And that's just it. And the second one, I think Kante might think, well, if there's an adventure to be had in somewhere like Barcelona, which I hate to say it, is a great club, it could be worth looking into. The other side of the coin is that I hear he does like London. He does like living here. I think his family are happy here.
Which is
And
why people started speculating that he may well join Arsenal or Tottenham.
well, and he does like Chelsea. I'm not sure N'Golo Kante would do that. I don't know. Football's strange, but I'm not sure. N'Golo would appear to me to be somebody that has some sort of values. I could be totally wrong, but he would appear to me to be that. And I'm not sure he knows what the rivalry is. This is yet another one of watch this space. I know the Bowley and co team or owners have proved to be very ruthless, very single-minded as well. They're not jokers. They put big money into this club.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to spend more big money, and they're not going to compromise their plans. But the question still remains: is Kante above those plans? I think the manager has a lot to do with this. But the disadvantage is that the manager hasn't actually seen him play too much. I know he's beginning to come back to fitness, but I don't know if he's actually playing. So the manager can't even make a judgment. So it becomes a guesswork. That's where my fear lies. And there's only a matter of months before he can start negotiating with other clubs. And I know for a fact, and I do believe he wants his future sorted out sooner rather than later. So Kante is not going to wait for the manager to be able to see him play. So if somebody's prepared to take that chance, yeah, he's likely to go along with it, especially if it's Barcelona. However, I know there's a lot I'm saying. However, there's another side to all this Barcelona rumor. Do Barcelona themselves want to take this chance when they've got their eye on somebody else and much younger and also on a free? This is
They can
another
have them
thing.
both.
Well, I don't think so. I think the same concerns we have, Barcelona will have, and I think um, the cost in terms of wages of this other player, if I say Monero, I think it is another factor. Barcelona is not exactly devoid of midfielders,
Mm-hmm.
and they're quite flush with midfielders, and they are in a position to sit down and think and make a choice. People say, okay, Juventus, would Juventus want to take him? Yeah, possibly. But the same issue arises, as it does with perhaps to a lesser extent to our English rivals. People would like to know that he can play rather than hope that he can play. So a lot of the scaremongering in the Chelsea community, which is very common with Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
is hurry up, do the deal. So and so is coming. The big bad wolf is coming to take the player. Whereas the reasons we may be um, trying to be a bit patient will be the same reasons these other clubs. No club wants to waste money. No club. No club
Yeah.
wants to invest in a player that's just going to sit on the bench because of their name. None.
Yeah.
So there's still hope. It's tight. There's still hope. And I just hope the advice of the Chelsea medical team is prudent enough to help the club make the right decision.
Yeah. He's one player that I say again. I think I've said this again a million times. Even if you can get 20 games out of him, he's worth keeping. And like you said, again, everything we've won since he joined Chelsea, he played a big part of it. But that's by the way. I'm going to catch up with the chat, and I really want us to talk about Porter's behavior, like Liam Lane highlights here. I'm going to come back to that in a bit. Let me just catch up with everyone else and say hello to those that I haven't said hello to. Yes, people, if you're just joining, please like and subscribe. If you haven't, again, when you enter, as it helps the channel reach a wider audience. And by the way, again, Merry Christmas in advance. I hope, again, and a prosperous new year in advance. Here again, hello everyone. Make sure to subscribe. Yes, Kim, so my brother, it's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. Please take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I hope both N'Golo Kante, Mount are still useful for Chelsea. Again, they both are. Again, if they do stay, Mount most likely to stay. Kante most likely to leave. If they both stay, I think they'll make us an even better team. But let's see what happens. Again, I hope. Yep, I've read that one there. Mason Mount can leave. I know. I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were one of those that never liked him. But again, you have every right to do so. I really don't like the idea of selling Kante as well. If we can bring someone in with the same quality, maybe I would change my mind. These days, you don't get a lot of Kantes. There will never be another Kante. Kante is very unique. Um, if anything, we can get a player who is good enough to fulfill the role that he fulfilled for us, but will never fulfill it to the measure that N'Golo Kante does. It's as simple as that, and I know you know that quite well yourself. Again, what a final Argentina fluked it. If that's how you see it, I think they played well. They started the game better than France did. France came into the game at the latter stage of the game, anyway. But again, it's still either side could have won it, and you'd still say it's a deserved win for them. I understand what you mean there. Let me see quickly. Mount has to stay. He has to stay. To me, he's one, like I said before, one of those players that make up the construct of the spine of Chelsea Football Club as a club, as a football club. Amrabat, again, he's a chip. To me, I've done my research again. I think it's not his performance wasn't a fluke. I think he's a cheaper option to Benessa. Benessa is the player I've always wanted for that CDM role. But Amrabat is a cheaper option, and also equally, he's good enough to do, and again, a good job for us. So if we get him, Mount and Kante is still very useful for Chelsea. Yep, but a lot of people don't think so. Sell Mount and get Unahi. That name, again, I can't pronounce it. I don't want Kante going, but the injury issues have really gotten out of hand. How about you think about maybe the surgery he went under the knife? Maybe that has solved the problem or have corrected what has again led to him being injured again as often as it's done in the past. Maybe we'll start managing his fitness properly and not just pull him back whenever he gets injured because he's important to the team. Chelsea always bring Kante in directly after he recovered. Yep. We've talked about that. That's the whole reason why he got injured prone. We did it. France did it. And again, so we shouldn't make it seem as if we're dumping him because we've gotten the best out of him, or use and dump if you want to phrase it that way. Amrabat is a decent shout. I am more impressed with him than Alvarez. Yep, he's more physical. Again, you could say a better tackler, maybe reads the game better. Benessa is still my first choice. Yep, you and I, Benessa is my first choice. He's an excellent dribbler. He's also reads the game very well. He's very physical. His tackles are all clean. I think Benessa is still the first choice for me. But if we're going to go for a cheaper option, Amrabat would do. Again, he's a good player. Amrabat bust the midfield against big nations. Again, like I said, he wasn't a fluke. Again, he's good enough. So now I wanted to talk about this, Bobby. This highlights something we've talked about before, and I think people should pay attention to it. Overall, let me just put it this way. It's about Graham Potter's behavior on the touchline. It's not, again, to me, I guess I have the right to say that he's not vocal enough, doesn't coach enough. And then, like this comment says, the friendly game against Villa, Porter just stood on the side on the sideline or sat down through the game. You would think with so much youth in the side, he would be coaching them, but he never said a word. And that's something. It's a pattern now. This again, it has repeated so many times. You can say that's his preferred approach to coaching. To me, that's not good enough. And like the first time we talked about this, I talked about how best of the managers, the world-class managers, they're known to be very vocal on the sideline. You don't have to even micromanage isn't the correct term. It's coaching, so you wouldn't say it's micromanaging. Carlo Ancelotti does it. Even again, Sir Alex Ferguson does it. Mourinho does it. Conte does it. Even Sarri, who isn't the most vocal, he does it. Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, and that brings to mind the game against Arsenal, where they were winning us, we were losing, and he's not even vocal enough to ginger the players. Sometimes you need to speak to the players directly when they're on the pitch, and that can change a lot. But Ateta on the day was very active on the touchline, as if they were the ones losing the game. Bobby, your thoughts on Graham Potter's behavior on the touchline? It is concerning to me, really.
I know where you're coming from. I see your point. Um, I don't know. Does it really matter? I don't know. You look at people like Marcelo Bielsa. I'm sure he's not a particularly good example, but he's an emotional man. Was he extremely vocal or demonstrative on the side of the pitch? Some would argue. You look at the guy that won the World Cup with Argentina. Was he a particularly demonstrative guy on the side of the pitch? I don't think so. I don't know, is my simple response to that. I personally don't like it. I think most fans like to see passion, they like to see you're involved. Does it matter? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. It probably does, but it depends on the way he's coached them in the first place. The disadvantage Potter has is that he's never had time to be with these players. I don't think he knows the players per se, and they don't particularly know him. So he's still learning. He's still more or less observing. Even this World Cup period, a lot of the first team players that he could have been with were at the World Cup.
Mhm.
So he never had that. He hasn't yet had that time to be uh, he hasn't had that time to be involved. He hasn't had the time to know these players. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's a difficult one. It is a hard one, and I won't even pretend that to have the answer about this one. Honestly, it's tough. It's tough. I
His,
just think,
mhm.
yeah, I just think he he needs time with these players. He's never gotten to know them so far. I mean, look at the Champions League game we played. Um, he didn't even know the players that were going out on that pitch. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, here's why. Again, I think if you look at the biggest names in football history, even if you're going as back as talking about Arrigo Sacchi, they were very vocal. Even if it's not to ginger your players or to wake them up, to set fire on their behind, even if they're not again, maybe executing your strategy to a T, and you want something to change. Sometimes you need to be very vocal. The most successful managers in world football, they're vocal, at least to an acceptable extent, because sometimes that can actually help sway decisions your way. And I know there's a risk to it. Sometimes you've seen managers get red carded or sent off again because of how vocal they are. But some people are able to do it and do it exceptionally well that they don't get carded. For instance, Pep hardly gets carded on the side, on the touchlines and all that. To me, I think there's no better way to put it. For instance, at least you could argue then when he wasn't that as vocal as we expected him to be on the touchline, when he had again big name players or established players in the team, that's fine. But when you have young players, you have to coach them. But that's, by the way, I couldn't put it even better than Liam Lane did here. It's really concerning, really, because it's become a pattern. I think this is around the sixth time we're talking about his behavior on the touchline. Even what's his name? Unistox Football, who visited the training ground, wasn't impressed. He even took some videos and showed us some videos on how he was standing like 10 miles away from where the team was training. Whereas again, the most active managers in most cases on the training ground sometimes stops the game and asks players to stand where they are so that they'd be able to explain something. But I wouldn't say that means he's not going to be able to do well at Chelsea. I think he doesn't have to be that vocal to do well at Chelsea, but his is to a measure that's concerning to me. Even when he's talking to his assistant and not to the players. Let me catch up with what we have in the chat. I think I've read this one here. Sue Yusu, I've seen this one. I don't want Kante gone. I've seen that one too. Chelsea always bring Kante in. I've read that one too. Amrabat is a decent DM. I think he's a good enough DM actually. Amrabat busted the midfield. That's just the truth. I'd pass on Unahi though. Again, he's too similar to a Kovacic ball carrying profile type. A short note again. Kovacic was quietly one of the best World Cup midfielders. To be honest, yep, he was brilliant overall. He didn't disappoint, so that's lovely to see. Hopefully, again, that translates to his form at Chelsea Football Club. Argentina's coach was very expressive. Yes, he was. But cameras weren't on the managers that much. But he was very expressive. He talks very often. What do you think if what Bobby says is true? That would be a reason for him to be more vocal on the sideline if he doesn't know them that well. Yes, again, that's a good argument there. If he doesn't know them that well, which means he has to talk even more to get them to understand what he wants them to do on the pitch. So that makes sense. Again, if you're watching, if you haven't, we have 40 likes. You guys are really surprising me. Again, because we haven't streamed consistently for a while, and yet we have 40 likes already. That's brilliant, and we're getting to 500 views, and I know we'll still be there. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah, that's a solid argument. Nemaya Farwole, nice to see you here, brother. What Cup is over? Which country do you enjoy, Coach? Again, me, Poland, Argentina, not really Argentina. To me, again, I was smitten by again how richly blessed Croatia, how much again they are, especially in the midfield area. But even at that, I'd just say they were too negative to my liking, given the talent they have in their ranks. Adebayo Balogun, again, thank you for finding the time to join the show, my Niger brother. If you haven't, please be sure to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. He's simply not the right man for the job. Porter, he doesn't need all these moans to relate his tactics. These guys are professionals. Solid argument. As much as I don't think we have the best team in the Premier League, I think we have a good enough team to be doing better than we've done on the ground. But yes, there's an argument that he doesn't know the players that much. There's also an argument, I'll tell you, maybe he's not paying attention to how badly we played when we had that stretch of unbeaten run. Maybe he's too focused, thinking we're doing well enough. And a prime example that shows he maybe thought we were doing well enough was him starting nearly the same 11 that played against Salzburg. Had he paid attention to the numbers, he'd know that was a poor performance, really. But that's, by the way, to me, I think I have to be blunt now. I've tried my best to hold back, give him time. Again, this is not me saying he's not the man for the job, but I still think what he will be capable of doing for us is building a unit, a team that plays as a unit for us. But I'm not sure how much he's going to be able to win with this with us. But let's see what happens. I wish him well because Chelsea is the club I support. If Chelsea does well, I'd be happy. Giovanni Jafta says again, yeah, that's true. Again, TT had a better relationship with the boys when came again. That highlighted his time at Chelsea for me. At time that went down south itself, it seemed that players were working against him actually. So I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. Kim So, talking about Kim So and Namara they're having a conversation, and this is my bro, the beautiful game. I can't scream that loud because I still have an issue with my voice. I'm not giving Porter any grace. No, one manager has been given the liberty that he has been given. So my expectation for him would be exactly the same as every other manager that has gone before. Here's where he's is different. He's on a long-term contract, plus the ego of those who hired him, who deep down believe that he's the man for the job, and they would want to prove to show the fans, you see, yeah, we knew exactly what we were doing when we fired Thomas Tuchel and hired Graham Potter. If he does well, I'd take it. But I've told you what I think he'd be able to achieve at Chelsea. He's simply not the right man for the Chelsea job. Potter, he doesn't need all this more to relate to his stats. Yep, again, I think I've read something similar before. Nice, Brazil was meant to be in the semifinals. I think if you watch them, really, they have a good squad, but they lack spine. Thoughts on Chelsea being linked with Emi Martinez? I might be in the minority, but I'm not so keen on him at all. Again, his save percentage in the World Cup was actually pretty awful. Also, the amount of free kick. Here's the thing. For Emi Martinez, I'm not sure about his ability on the ball. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bobby, you want to talk about that? Do you think we should be looking at him?
Well, I always ask myself, is he better than what we've got?
I
From
don't
what
think
I've
he is.
seen,
Yeah, go ahead.
you don't think he is? I think he is. I
Who is
think
it
he
better
is.
than, really?
Well, he certainly seems to be more composed than Mendy, and he certainly is certainly with his goal spot kick and his reflex saving. He seems to be better than Kepa.
How
However,
about his
his
ability on
aggression.
the ball?
Well, I'm not. I didn't pay that much attention to that, to be honest. To be fair, so I'll stand to be corrected on that. But
Mm.
he's the Aston Villa goalkeeper. That's another thing I asked myself. And at Villa, has he been? Has he been? How has he been? Because a lot of this, there's one thing playing in the World Cup. I'm always very cautious about players that are good at international competitions
Mhm.
and the translation into the week in, week out Premier League. I think it's two very, very different things. And often you'll find these players that do so well in international competitions, they end up floundering in domestic competitions. So I don't know. I don't think he's been bad for Villa. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I wouldn't be upset if I saw him at Chelsea at all.
Mm. Oh, okay. Let me see what some people here says again. Thoughts on Chelsea being league. That's what we're talking about right now. To me, I'd keep Kepa over him. Maybe if Mendy is leaving, we can add him to the ranks. Exactly, blue to the game. Let me see what we have here. I think it's crunch time for Potter now. I need to see a clear way of playing before I can be confident again in him having more than two windows. Like Roger would say, Potter is predictably unpredictable, and that to me looks like it's become an issue. Actually, he hasn't been able to put the team to start playing together as a unit. For us, Emi Martinez had a set percentage lower than 50%. If that's the case, then I don't think it's good enough for Chelsea Football Club. He done well in stopping penalties too, but yeah, but let's see what happens if the clubs want him. Who am I to blow against the win in the World Cup? Martinez' attitude and cockiness is exactly what we need at the back. Maybe, but I think Bobby will agree with you on that one. At the back, the way he threw that ball away in the World Cup final showed proper minerals. Again, let's see what happens. But I don't think we're seriously looking at him. I think it's all rumors, if you want to ask me. Let me see this one. Which striker do you think Chelsea should be looking at in January? Do you take on CR7? Will he be a short-term fix to the goal drought? It's a huge risk for me. What else do you need to see? And I'm going to say something that my brother Rodrigo has said here before, where he talked about again. I wasn't actually paying attention to that. How since again his move away from Madrid, all the club that he's joined, the moment he joined the club, the numbers of their strikers there, or his other again teammate starts dropping, and his numbers in terms of goal scoring again, goal tally goes up. It happened at Juventus, Dybala suffered. It happened at Manchester United, Rashford and all this suffered. Why his numbers went up? Even when he scored a million goals, they didn't even get into top four. If you're paying attention to that, and to me, no matter how you see it, his behavior will always be an issue. And I'm sure Bobby agrees to that. And we've talked about that. Bobby used the term prima donna and all that. I don't want Ronaldo at Chelsea, but that's me. The owners who are profit for businessmen, to them, they might well, and I'm still seeing things that say that ball is still obsessed in getting him to Chelsea Football Club. He gets him. We will get some goals from him. Plus, again, business. He's huge. He will. He again. He means he will bring in the money for them. If that's how you want to see it. But I don't want him. If anything, I'd say let's look at Vlahovic for that serious. But I think Vlahovic doesn't have that again. As much as he's a finesse finisher, again, you could say he's a fine finisher on his day. There's no guarantee. We're not even seeing anything that guarantees to be able to make it in the Premier League. But if you look at the Fofana guy, Dacho, he has all the attributes that define the perfect Premier League player. He's good on the ball. He can again escape tight spaces. He can also play on the flanks, not just essentially. So to me, I'd say again, let's again, we didn't pay a zillions of dollars for him or pounds for him. I'm talking about Datro Fofana, but I think he'd get the job done for us. But no matter who we have at the club, be it Ronaldo, Lewandowski, or what's his name, the Juventus player that we just talked about, we need to diversify chance creation. Our chance creation doesn't have to be coming only from the flanks, and 90% of the times on the carpet. It's very predictable. Once opposition are able to stop the wing backs or wingers, we're done. If we can diversify the chance creation, create from central areas, then our attackers, again, they'll be getting us goals and double the number of chances we will create. It's common sense. The more chances we create, the more goals we get. So I think we should prioritize getting a player who's capable of creating, again, you could say good chances from the central areas, players in the mold of Cesc Fabregas, even Juan Mata. That's what we need. Players that will get us double digits in terms of creating chances from the center area. That will make a huge difference. Because if we don't solve that problem, it doesn't matter whether we have Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Vlahovic, even Dacho Fofana, we still have issues scoring goals because we won't be creating that many, and the chance creation will only come from the flanks, which is very predictable and easy to stop. But I have officially given up on Mendy now. It's sad to see, but the mistakes he made in the World Cup along with the sports season was too much. Again, I'm one of those that argued when I started sensing it, there's a problem here. And Thomas Tuchel didn't help the situation. Had they dropped him on the bench again for 2 games or 3, maybe he would have woken up. No, he's old. Okay. Nah, don't want Martinez near my club. That's how you see it. I don't think he's also good enough for Chelsea, but that's how I see it. But Bobby thinks he is, and other people thinks he is. CR7 is my good, but he's
Look,
finished. He should.
To
Yeah,
be
go ahead.
honest, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm only judging from what I saw at the World Cup and the little I've seen in the Premier League. If people strongly feel he's not good enough for Chelsea, I'm not
Mhm.
that invested in my opinion to oppose that. I just think, it's useful having a player. I tell you how I judge my keepers. I judge a keeper that when something is about to happen, the level of confidence they inspire in me. Like when Argentina went to penalty kicks, I was sure they were going to win because of him. When there is a one-on-one situation, I kind of feel he has a better chance of stopping it than not stopping it. And this is how I judge my keepers. I mean, I fully accept. I remember doing battle with you on your platform here when you were talking about, gosh, Tuchel needs to bench Mendy, and I was saying, well, you never bench your number one goalkeeper. In principle, yes,
Hmm.
but I've come to see now that you were right. He needed benching because for a long time, there's nothing about Edouard Mendy that makes me feel confident. Penalties, forget it. Now, any ball at his feet, my heart is in my mouth. He has. I've lost that feeling. And at least with Kepa, I don't have confidence with long balls. I'm still yet to be convinced about long range shooting, but penalties, absolutely. Kepa has a knack of knowing how to stop them. And I feel quite confident when he's in goal. So that's how I've judged this guy. And because of that, I feel if Mendy goes and he comes in, I wouldn't be too worried about it, to be honest. He seems to be a big game goalkeeper, and at Chelsea, that's quite valuable.
Yeah, it is. Again, you're correct. Like I said, if Mendy is leaving, I wouldn't mind having him at Chelsea Football Club. Martinez's behavior seems awful, says Match Host. I think something is a bit off. It gives him, I seen the picture of what he was doing with the gloves, golden gloves, and also the rumors that he said again. He told his teammates that again asked them to have a minute of silence for what's his name, the French won the Kylian Mbappe. But again, that's just I wouldn't generalize it from those two incidents and say, okay, you know what, I think he's a bad person. But I get again, it's concerning really, especially what he was doing with the gloves he had. It was something sexual, if I'm allowed to phrase it that way. Kim, so he cried when Portugal lost. He's a baby. I'm not going to go into that argument. I don't want Ronaldo too much baggage, and he's again he'd suffer without again a service from midfield. Plus, again,
You know
even
why?
yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
coach. You know why I don't think we'll get Ronaldo? I think that
Mhm,
ship has sailed. I think what's happened with him at Man United, Man United have made him and destroyed him. I think his marketability has diminished considerably.
mhm.
I don't think he's that. He was marketable up until the point he went to Man United. Now, anywhere else he goes, it's not going to be. He's not going to cause positive attraction. It's all going to be negative, which is really sad. I was sad for him at the World Cup. Actually, he is or was a great player, and you can see he has a desire to continue.
Yeah,
It's
and
just so
he
sad.
needed the World Cup.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
Ronaldo
so
is
sad.
one. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying something.
No, I was just saying it's just so sad. I wish it could have ended just a little bit better for him. Winning the World Cup, well, only a few elite footballing nations have that opportunity. I don't think I class Portugal at the same level as Croatia. Those nations that aren't quite that big enough. It's not that Argentina is that big a nation, but they have that footballing pedigree. And of course they have Messi, and they have this way of producing some exceptional talent. Uh, Portugal is not quite there yet, so for him to expect to win the World Cup is a bit of a dream, to be honest. I'm waiting for a stroke of luck. It's just I felt that it would have been nicer for him to bow out without this level of controversy. But that's Ronaldo for you. It's done. Coming to Chelsea is not going to happen.
Yeah, well, thank you very much again. Let's see. What else do we have here? Just quickly. We can barely create for Aubameyang. Again, it's no for CR7. He gets frustrated and probably will start causing problems. Ronaldo on the bench. Yeah, at the World Cup. What if Felix? Felix is one player I want because he's a creator and probably would do well at Chelsea. And he's just still 23, but he's one of those players. Him, Mount, Kai Havertz that have been there for a while that you think they played the game for a decade now, but it's still kids. They're the young generation, again, that generation that will produce the next Ballon d'Or winners and all that. Let's see. Felix is good. but not for 100 million. The price tag is the issue, and I think he's still contracted to Atletico until 2027. Again, not gonna lie, if Todd Bowley makes a sneaky effort to bring Messi to the breach, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Messi either because he's less selfish of the two players. Messi in most cases plays for the team rather than himself. But Ronaldo, he will always be about him. Mendy, I'm not going to go to that extent. Again, I believe strongly he's well equipped to do even better than Kepa has done it again when he had that a deep in form. But my concern is that usually when players again have such a form issue, usually it takes them leaving for another club to recover their form. I hope that's not the case. But unfortunately, like I think it was Emperor that talked about it. I think Mendy's biggest problem is that he lost that hunger that he joined Chelsea. He had that hunger that he had when he joined Chelsea. At one point, he probably felt like he was indispensable. That no matter what happens, he keeps his place. And that would have actually been the case had Thomas Tuchel remained Chelsea coach, because Mendy didn't drop to the bench until he got injured. Yeah, and let's see what happens. His performance has declined. Yeah, again, to a surprising measure. Amy Martinez didn't deserve the Golden Gloves award, but he made it to the final, and that makes a whole lot of difference. Yasin Bono from Sevilla. I saw your comment because I usually see comment on the up the screen before. Again, I highlighted. He's 31. Let me see that again. Yes, he's 31 years old. His citizenship Moroccan, Canada, and Canadian too. Um, yeah, I don't know him too well because usually pay attention. This is not Jose Mourinho's team. Again, the ability, a sweeper keeping ability, plus ability, overall ability on the ball, distribution, and all that. Those are three factors are key factors you must look at when you're talking about Chelsea getting the goalkeeper because that's important to Graham Potter. Or again, the way he
Can I,
likes to play. Yeah, go ahead.
can I comment on the Moroccan keeper?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who he's one keeper that really caught my eye. He
Hmm.
caught my eye. The Croatian keeper caught my eye. Of course,
Even the
Martinez.
Saudi goalkeeper was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but these people, these are the ones that I really took note of because of their performances. But
Hmm.
there's something African players and goalkeepers and the like. Dare I generalize? Maybe this is an unfair statement. I think they tend to do better for their nations rather than their clubs. The total opposite is for Ghanaian players because I find the Ghanaian players tend to play better for their clubs than for their nation. But every other nation, it's quite different, apart from maybe Mo Salah, who plays well for both. So I don't know, at 31, if people are just beginning to notice you now, um, to me, it's a little bit of a problem. I think something has been missing somewhere because he's clearly been a goalkeeper for quite some time.
Hmm.
So what's been happening? How come? I don't know. What's his club? Do you know the club he's with? The Moroccan keeper.
The club he plays for,
Yeah.
Sevilla. I think this one in person plays for Sevilla.
Oh, he's a Sevilla goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think so.
That's interesting. So, I mean, if you haven't drawn attention playing for a club like Sevilla, who at the
Hmm.
very least is quite prominent in Europa competition,
And
UEFA.
its market value is 15 million
Hmm.
euros, which means around 12, 13 million pounds.
Yeah, yeah, it's a difficult one because a player like that, he would expect to be the number one, but can he be a Chelsea number one? I don't know. I don't know. I really have my doubts. As I said, I don't know why people have this issue with Martinez. I know he did some very silly things. I didn't particularly like the way he was with
But we
his.
shouldn't judge him because of those two things. Again,
Yeah, sometimes
the emotions
goalkeepers.
were high, and all
Yeah,
those things. Yeah,
and if you're young, I mean, forget these are young men. Young men can be silly sometimes and clownish in their attitude to certain things. Just, especially when they're in groups and they're having fun. There's always got to be, the one Charlie amongst the group, and maybe he's
Charlie
that
indeed.
character. I remember. I'm old enough to remember this goalkeeper for Liverpool, Globelar. He was a bit of an oddball. He'll do some very odd things, both on and off the pitch and during celebrations. And, there's always that character. Maybe he's that guy. Does it make him a bad person like you? I think it's a bit harsh. Does it make him somebody apt to sometimes do some silly, almost embarrassing things? Well, certainly, what he did with his award um, was tasteless. It's not really my cup of tea, but it is what it is. Um, I don't think that makes him a bad goalkeeper, and I don't think that makes me.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
it
shouldn't.
doesn't make me
Again,
not
that's
want
that
him at
just
Chelsea.
reminds me the behavior of the Ghanaian international when Leicester beat us in the FA Cup final. Those things again, emotions are high, and these things are very common in such situations. But that's by the way. Let me see what we have here again. The captain of the house says, please like and subscribe if you haven't when you enter, as it helps the channel reach a wider audience. Please, if you haven't, drop a like on the stream. We have 44 likes already. Again, that's surprising to me. I didn't expect us to get to 30 likes alone, let alone 44 because we haven't streamed consistently in a while. So thank you so much. If you haven't, drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much, guys. We've gained a few subscribers today, and I appreciate that. What's your take on Jude Bellingham as Kante replacement? I'll be careful how I use the term Kante replacement. Jude Bellingham doesn't look to me like a traditional DM. Kante isn't one either. But I'm sure most people are looking at both as DMs, and Jude Bellingham being again a DM. Playing Bellingham that deep will be a waste of his talent. I think he has more to offer going forward. I'm going to come back to that a bit, Bobby, and I want to get your thought before we move to the next topic we have lined up. I'm going to come back to this particular comment when I get a chance. Kilo Navas from PSC. Navas is a player who's good with his feet and also, and he's been there, done that. He's won how many Champions League with Madrid? I don't remember that he before moving to PSC. But I think his salary will most likely be an issue. And given that we still have um, Slonina, we still have again. I think Keparis Balaga stays at the club. Even there's a chance that what's his name, Mendy remain at the club. I don't think the club will go as far as paying Kilo Navas how much I believe he'd be earning right now. Bruno Bruno always being a top class goalkeeper for a while now. I remember some save he made at AFCON as well. Again, though he's pretty old. Wouldn't take him at Chelsea. Yes, thing about goalkeepers. For goalkeepers, they age like fine wine. The older a goalkeeper is, the better. They don't do too many. They don't do too much running. Their reflexes remain for a while. Again, to me, age isn't an issue for me. Bobby, speaking facts, yes. Again, Bobby is on fire today. Last year, Bono was best La Liga goalkeeper in front of that is Ter Stegen. That's the Barcelona goalkeeper, an all black Atletico Madrid. Wow, if it's that good, and with that price, a price again, how much is that? Let me look at it again. For 15 million, around 12 million, I think that's a good price, really. And his age is 31. That's a good age for a goalkeeper, really. I'd go for him. A good point, Bobby, on Ghanaian players. You have no idea how angry I am with Pate. Yeah, Pate wasn't again. He didn't play well. He wasn't. It wasn't a good outing for him, really. But for Arsenal, he's always brilliant. Maybe it all comes down to the teammates around you. Those things can define your performance. again, it's not true for all of them, though. Kudus and Samid replicated their club form at least, and even did better at the World Cup that they did for their club. Lo Amate, that man can be. Oh my God, I haven't recovered that much to laugh that hard. Yeah, some surprises there. Excuse me, sorry. I've never seen Martinez doing anything stupid playing for Aston Villa. That's what I'm saying. Again, the stage it was on a big stage, and after winning the World Cup, you can hardly control your emotions. So yeah, again, I don't want to get into again how Messi was forced to wear what should I call that a ground or a robe, but he had to because he could care less. He just wanted to celebrate with his teammates and all that. So when emotions are high, people tend to again their judgment is usually impaired. It's no different from taking an alcoholic drink. So yeah, I wouldn't judge him with that. So you're very correct, and thank you for highlighting that. And Bobby always a believer of second chances, and that to me isn't anything that serious. Bellingham and joining us. Move on again. Not for that price, even if we're getting him. Big up my fellow Blues. How is everything doing today, Glenn? I am much better. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Um, Let me see what we have here again. It was a rough outing for Josco Vardiol against Argentina, but everybody falls victim to Messi. I still see him as another good fit in Chelsea. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, it actually was a one-off thing. And the kid is just 20. We seem to forget. And that is something that's very common again with football fans. Once again, see how again for the past 2 years, everything again every time you talk about signing players or the hottest property in Europe, Vadio comes into that conversation. There are other players, Rafael Leao, Joao Felix, and can you believe that Joao Felix is just 23? You think by now he'd be 25 or 26? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he 23? Same thing again as for Vadio, he's just 20. Eh, So I'm not concerned really. His case is no different from that a straight or period of time where Chaluba made series of mistakes, which I argue then is something that's very common with players at his age. That with time he will become a much more polished player, and you start seeing less and less of those mistakes. And to my credit, honestly, again, he's actually way ahead of time, really. See how mature he plays right now. You think is 25, 26, and all that. Again, I wouldn't judge Radio for that, but again, it will always come into the conversation. I still see him. Yep, he's Chelsea quality, and again, you can see he's a better equipped to take on that Thiago Silva mantle whenever um, he retires. PJ Artist, nice to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Let me see again. Bobby is spitting fire. Yep, he's on fire today. Sheikh Messi. Yeah, exactly. That robe thing was funny, really. It didn't look good on him, I have to be honest. Enzo Fernandez Alvarez should be our future CMs. For Enzo Fernandez, I did look at his numbers yesterday. If we're looking for players so capable of, producing double digits in terms of chances, chance creation, he's not that man. His numbers are actually four, except for signing him to be a deep line midfielder, help protect the back line, then for me, he's not the man. To me, again, in this order, to me, it is, again, Ishmael Benessa. Then you can talk about, what's the other guy? The Moroccan, what's the name again? I think comes second. And then maybe Edson Alvarez in that order. Those are players to me that are good enough to be play again to fulfill the deep line six role for us and still do quite well, protect the defense very well, progress the ball very well, and that's especially true with Vanessa. He's a fine dribbler. He's got good vision, a good passer of the ball. Again, he's a good finisher too on his day plus a good tackle, and his tackles are all clean, and he reads the game quite well. So to me, he's the number one choice if we have to talk about that. Let me see. Did I
Can,
highlight
can
anything
I
I wanted?
just
Yeah, go
can,
ahead.
can I just pass a comment about the gown that was placed on Messi when he went to lift the World Cup?
Hmm.
You see, I find myself really trying very much these days to show respect to other peoples and their culture, especially on their turf.
Hmm.
Now, we have, you're an American, you know how in Hawaii it's very customary for them to welcome you with with those
Flower.
flowers around
Hmm. Hmm.
your neck. And that's them, that's their way, that's their culture. Um, Now, I can't claim to be versed in anything about Arab culture. I don't know it. I do know that their culture is very religiously based, and I perceive that they are people that like to be embraced.
Hmm.
Now, I think the person that handed over the World Cup was some part of their royal family or something,
Yeah, he is.
and putting a cloak on Messi was symbolic to them. You know, it was hardly the end of the world. They didn't tell him to take off his
And
shirt.
no,
And
I'm just saying that the reason I
no,
mentioned it
no, I
was,
know where you're coming
yeah,
from,
exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
but there was an issue made about it in commentary for us, and I don't like these things. You know, that's why I speak out against them. Respect people. Messi wore it, lifted the World Cup, and later on he took it off. It was just a little gesture. We
Here's the
take
thing. I
these
talked
things
about it
in this.
in the sense that people that has been talked about, it was literally forced on him. But I talked about again
Yeah,
how that wasn't an issue because he just wanted to just put it on me. I just want to go and celebrate again. I talked about that again as an emotions were high then. Everybody was
yeah,
celebrating. We had to talk about it given the complaint about what's his name Martinez's behavior. To me, it's nothing.
yeah.
I'd wear it without complaining. Like you
Coach,
said, it's just symbolic. They're not
it's
imposing
important.
anything on anybody. Yeah.
It's important you did talk about it, and I'm just
Mm,
sort of supporting what you've said. You
mm,
know, we have this sort of snobbish, almost looking down on people attitude, which has got to stop. You know, we went to that World Cup criticizing them about their way of life, trying to preach to them how
mhm.
to live and all that. I don't like these things. Who are we to tell them how to live? Okay, they do certain things that I particularly don't agree with, but that's them. That's
Mm.
their turf. That's what they do. And I think we need to, and when I say we, I say that in inverted commas and in total embrace. We need to now start being a little bit more accepting and tolerant. We're so hypocritical. We use this word tolerance, and yet we're probably more intolerant of these different people. You know, we turn our nose up at their food, we turn our nose up at any little thing they do if they're not European. And I don't
Yeah.
like that. We've got to stop that. You know, I think, you know, that should have either been ignored or just applauded. Oh, okay, their king put a cloak on Messi. Perhaps they should have even asked or tried to find out what it meant to them, because I'm sure it was an honorable thing and not a
Yeah.
dishonorable. Do you know what I
No, no, no,
mean?
no. It will never
So
be. Again, I'm sure a
so
lot
I'm
of people
backing you
understood what
in
that
what
is.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, I'm backing you in what you're saying. I think it's
Mm.
important that we do that. You know, you get a lot of young people watching you and watching these platforms. And, you know, if we are truly going to be a tolerant world, we need to now start to, after all, we gave them the World Cup. So why start criticizing everything they
Yeah.
do?
And,
You
and
see
and
what I
if
mean?
truly, if football, if we have to start seeing football as a unifying factor, then we must be tolerant to. We must learn to be open-minded. So, but that's why. Let's really move on from it. Again, everything started with the argument on Martinez's behavior. Again, preach, Bobby, preach. And again, well, Simon. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. If you're just joining, please take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. IBZ, it's been a minute, brother. How are you doing?
How we all doing? Merry
I can't
Christmas
complain. I can Merry Christmas in advance to you, bro.
in
It's just a
advance.
few days. How many days? 5 days now.
Ah,
Wow,
we're
it's
seeing, we're seeing
close.
there. How you doing, Bobby, man? Long time, everyone. Big up the panel, big up the chat.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
It's been a minute.
big
Yeah.
up, guys.
Yeah, good thing is that we're all healthy now again, and I appreciate all the love. 100%, Bobby. Again, everybody showing love to Bobby. Not even good job, coach. Bobby's having a blinder today. Fair play. So, IBZ, you have anything you want to talk about, or you want to talk about the Mason Mount situation? I'm sure you've heard about it.
You know
Again,
what? Yeah,
I really want us to
can I
talk
be
about
honest with
Leao
you?
too. Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
I, can I be honest? Yeah,
Hmm.
this World Cup, since the break, I've not versed myself with anything transfer related, Chelsea related, Premier League related, league related. I've
Hmm.
enjoyed the festival of football, and I'm just coming out. I don't know what's going on, and that's me purposely turning it off because I don't want to hear any discussions when I'm, you know what I mean. I'm into it now. Over, back in next week.
It was
Hit
a
me.
healthy break, wasn't it? I think I
Listen, do you
didn't
know what I
want
mean?
it, but
Like
when it came,
not hearing any. This
Chelsea
guy.
nonsense.
We need this guy. This guy. Even probably I've been hearing whispers of people saying, "Oh, this guy will be good for us." I don't even give a dash. I'm watching players represent their nation and put passion, blood, sweat, and tears into it, and that's all I cared about. But we're back. We're back. League football's back, and yeah, I guess we're into it again. So what's in regards to the World Cup? I was just touching on what you said, Bob. I don't want to go into it too much, but I come when you were speaking on that topic about the Messi, the Drake thing, and
Hmm.
the gesture that the Qatari hierarchy had given Messi, and that
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that was nothing short of symbolic, iconic. Um,
Yep.
it
Like Bobby
is
said, yep.
it is a mark of respect from them to him, having the greatest of all time footballer in their country winning a trophy. That if that wasn't done, what would they have done? I'm so in a land of culture, in a land of tradition, in a land of heritage, in a land of history. What do we expect? Is it because European has no tradition or culture that they don't know how to do this? This is culture. If this was in probably in, I don't know, Mexico, or I don't know, Argentina itself, or Brazil, or
Hmm.
if it was in India, or if it was back home in Africa, there'll be a way where they will crown this guy, because it's not just a footballing event. And this is a monumental event. So they'll have to bless him, saying, mark of respect. And I just saw, when I heard all the West, it's just the same trope. Let's just call a spade a spade. The rest is racist. That's all. From Infantino's speech, from their reaction to Infantino's speech till now, the West is racist. And that is all. If it's not the West doing it, if it's not in Europe, if it's not in the Americas, they don't want to know. If it's an Arab country, they'll find a problem. If it's an African country, they'll find a problem. But we move. And I'm happy that the World Cup came, the World Cup saw, the World Cup conquered.
It
I'm
was
happy.
beautiful.
It was a beautiful World Cup. Teams came, teams left, teams played their heart out. We were entertained. There were upsets. People doing it for a region. It was everything. The final was probably the best World Cup final ever for a lot of people my age. Yeah, that haven't seen probably 94, or 1990. If you see from 98 till if you looked at the World Cup final from 98 till now, this has to be probably top three, top two. I don't think anything can top it. And where was it held? It was held in an Arab country, where you witnessed the best World Cup final. Where else did you witness it? Qatar 2022 will go down in history, whether
Hmm.
you like it or not. So I have nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I was so happy. I felt a bit, because obviously my family is Muslim, so you felt proud in that moment that
Yeah.
they did it, and anyone that was when Gary Lineker, I know maybe it wasn't spoke about in America, but it became a topic, and I just said, here we go again. It became a topic. Lineker was sticking his 2 pence in again. Like, you've done enough already by being racist, mate. You didn't want to show the opening ceremony to the World Cup. Now you want to talk about them giving Messi a gesture of thank you for coming to our country and producing entertainment. You want to talk down on that? I just think it's very rubbish. But yeah, we
Yeah,
moved
it is.
now. It came, it saw, it conquered. We're back to league football. I'm happy with the players that performed, you know, and unlucky to some that didn't. That's it.
Yeah, just quickly let me catch up with the chat. I will come back to you since you're just joining us with the next question. Bobby, having a blinded today, fair play. Again, hi IBZ, saying hello to you from
Yeah,
Lamb
big
Lane
up
there.
Liam,
Again,
man.
it's a dress. Again, I can't pronounce that. Is it called Besh?
The best.
For Besh again for an official occasion and one for celebration. This was a celebration of Messi and a mark of respect for him. But again, we talked about it, given some people are saying how it was literally forced on him. And from
Forced.
talking about the behavior, Emi Martinez and all that. And I said even him didn't care. He just wanted to go celebrate with his teammates and all that. But that's, by the way, we move on from that. Again, like one thing is sure, like again, Supreme Court says they're arguably the best World Cup ever, the best stadium. Again, it was eventful, it was beautiful, it was colorful, lots of surprises. It's not a World Cup for the big boys, really. If you paid attention to everything that happened, every team performed like they were at home. There can never be another more neutral ground to host a World Cup
I
than in
swear.
Qatar.
I swear,
Uh,
man. I swear.
yeah. So
Or
I'm glad again.
maybe because it was
Mhm.
maybe because we were in the Winter World Cup, and that generally around this time most players will be at their full fitness
Clubs,
anyway.
yeah.
So maybe that's what it gave. Because the talk, if people were talking about the weather is going to play a part, I didn't see that. I saw teams running for 120 minutes,
Oh, they
120
took care
minutes.
of that by the way they built the stadium. They
You
were air
know,
conditioned, fully air conditioned stadium
ah,
and all that. And I don't see any other country. I think the country that has the money to measure the type of stadium we saw there would be Saudi Arabia. I,
okay, okay.
I'm not sure any other country has the money to build such beautiful stadium. And some of them I'm hearing actually they can dismantle them and move them to another place and
You see,
assemble
can you
them.
see life? Can you see life?
Yeah, that's
FYI,
a
coach.
real.
FYI, coach. I'm coming to
Yeah,
your size. 2026 World Cup. Are they
yeah,
calm?
I know.
Are they
I
calm?
know.
Are
So
they calm?
I
I'm
will be
saying it
at the
now.
stadium.
We're
If
linking up, bro.
anytime you land here, bro, just let me
Oh,
know,
I
then,
will.
my
You know,
brother.
I go phone you. Sha. I go. You know,
Oh,
I go message you.
bro, again,
2026. I'm coming.
I will leave the whole floor to you
No
alone.
problem.
Can I add something about the World Cup, guys?
Yes, go ahead,
yes,
Bobby.
yes.
Before we talk about Nkunku, yeah.
And this one is for the Africans, really. You know, I think every World Cup we've seen an improvement in the African nations' participation. We really have. There's still this sort of African thing about not being able to finish, sort of poor finishing in front of goal. But overall, there is massive improvement, and certainly the Moroccans showed how well organized the teams can be and how determined and the passion they have playing for their countries. You
Mhm.
know, them getting to the semi-finals to me is very symbolic. I truly believe that it's not going to be another one or two or at most three World Cups. We're going to get that African nation that's going to go and lift that thing,
Amen.
because
Amen.
the
Amen.
gap
Amen. Amen.
the
Amen. Amen. I
I
want you
know
to
it
understand.
makes
Amen.
make you
Amen.
guys happy, you know,
Amen.
but you know the gap is not much at all. And the thing is, most of these players play in Europe anyway. And the
Exactly.
funny thing about it is that you know, I looked at the French squad, and after a while, uh, um, when they made their substitutions and were playing in that final, I think apart from the goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, all the players on that pitch could be said to have African backgrounds, origins, some of them even African birth. So I think Africans should be really proud. I was really, really happy with some of the performances. I was happy with how Cameroon beat Brazil. Certainly happy with Morocco's performance. The thrill of the World Cup is when the minnows perform well. You know, Saudi Arabia beating the mighty Argentina. I mean, this World Cup really had it all. It really was a very entertaining competition.
It was really.
And
The only thing that
you
was
know,
missing from the final was a red card.
yeah, yeah, if you like that sort of thing, yeah, And I've got to say, me as an England fan, because I've got to say I am an England fan, I wasn't that fussed when England was beaten. I've put myself in a position where I expect it, and when it happens, I just take it for what it is. I think, if you're not good enough, you will always fall short. That's one thing about these sorts of competitions. And England isn't quite there. England's shown a lot of improvement and showing the capability of winning it soon if they just start playing players by merit from the beginning rather than later instead of by
Mhm.
reputation. But that's another issue. But I thought it was a fantastic World Cup, and what made the World Cup was the performance of the so-called lesser footballing nations. Even
Yeah, like I
Canada.
said, it was no World Cup for big boys.
No, it wasn't. Even Canada, I put them in the same bracket as the African nations. They are a great team, but they lack finishing. The performance of Japan and South Korea was so exciting. And of course, the United States, who I thought were perhaps for me the team of the tournament. Personally, I enjoy the way they played, and they
Mhm.
just lack that little bit of finishing as well. If they had a good striker, they would be talking semi-finals by now. So yeah, it was a wonderful World Cup, and I think the Africans should be really, really proud. And I hope long may it continue with them because I'm looking forward to seeing an African nation win that World Cup. It'll be nice.
Yeah. Just quickly, let me catch up. Anything else in the chat to read here? And I think this is just to talk more about what we talked about. Bassi 18, Bassi again. That's surely a Niger brother there. We're talking about a gold trim cloak. Again, a place on him. That's honor. A place. Yep. Again, most people didn't see it that way. And I'm glad we talked about it here. So that's by the way, Bobby. I don't know how much you know this man here. Chelsea Restructure Academy Leadership, and thanks for Liam Lane for sharing the update with me. Uh, um, uh, uh, Chelsea Restructure Academy Leadership Group as key man Neil Bat. Is it Bat or Birth? I don't know how to pronounce his
Neil
last name.
Bath.
Neil Bath handed a promotion. Do you know? You're well acquainted with the story, and do you know what's his role already at the club?
Neil Bath is one of the academy managers, uh, leaders. He's very much involved with the structuring of the academy. He's been at Chelsea for decades. He's been there during around the time of Emanalo, and he's been part of the Chelsea academy for a long time.
Mm,
Neil Bath is a very, very, very talented youth coach. Himself, people like Matt Holland, who's Holland. What's his first name? The guy that's the England deputy coach.
that is it the one that works with Gareth Southgate,
Southgate.
Steve Holland.
Steve, yeah, Steve Holland. He was um, with the Chelsea Academy. Neil Bath getting a promotion, I have absolutely no problem with whatsoever. He's a fantastic member of the academy coaching team. He's one of the leaders in the academy coaching teams, one of the reasons the academy is as good as it is. And he certainly is a welcome promotion, certainly much better than our dear friend McLaughlin,
Mm.
Scott McLaughlin, who said that Oriol Jarmeni wasn't good enough to come to Chelsea. Well, so much for that. So yeah, I thought he'd already been promoted. So if he's got a more prominent and more directive position in the academy, I welcome it for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, again, IBC want to add anything to that, or should we just move on? Okay, I guess we should move on. Again, this one here, I got that one, the beautiful game. I already gave the answer. So give me some credit. Say kudos, coach. I'll take it. Please. All right, Bobby, let's talk about Nkunku. Where are we at with the signing? Because I know again Fabrizio Romano he'd already said here we go. Um didn't we announce that we signed Christian Pulisic when we did? And then again it was announced and then we were told that he joins us come July the next year or June. I don't remember when. Um, it doesn't look like, truthfully, we've completed the signing of Nkunku. And this here says Christopher Nkunku can be announced as Chelsea player, 61 million add-on included. I'm not sure what to make of this comment here. Are you well acquainted with the situation, Bobby? All right, while I wait for Bobby to.
I'm sorry, I
Uh,
was trying to unmute. I'm sorry.
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what's that about Nkunku?
Nkunku again. We're hearing, according to Fabrizio Romano, too, that Chelsea have completed. It's here we go. Let me just use this language. Or is
Yeah.
yeah, here we go. But we've heard nothing from the club proper, like an announcement or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the club is cool. He isn't joining physically until I think July 2023. So what's the rush, really? You know, if we announce it today, tomorrow, if the deal's done, the deal's done. It's if the deal is not done that we should be worried. And if the club hadn't concluded this, they would either find a way to get that leaked or come out and say so themselves. So I'm not that worried. You know, I'm not worried about a player that we're not going to see till the end of the season and the beginning of the next season. I'm just worried that he gets over his injury, he gets fit, he stays injury free, and gets ready for a good preseason. Um, I think if it, well, I believe it's true. He's now in the bag, so our attention has to be focused on other targets, and there are many of them. Vardiol, whichever midfielder we settle on next, I think we need at least two. And the likes of either Rafael Leao or I understand there's a couple of these strikers, although they're very young. Someone like the Ivorian kid, I think, may come into the development squad because of his age. I mean, he's what, 19? I
You
think
mean that true?
yeah, the Fofana. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's true
That's
for
right.
fine.
Him.
I think he's good enough. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, if he can go straight into the first team, okay. But I have a feeling he may do a little bit um, with the development squad. Having said that, because we won't be seeing, um, oh gosh, my mind just goes all the time. I don't know. Broja for
Hmm.
at least a year. Um, he might come into the first team, but that will depend on whether we're getting the other kid from Dortmund. So, you know, we have a lot to do in the transfer market. We really do. I think we are in a situation where by the beginning of next season, we may well be looking at least 5 or 6 replacements for and additions. Some will be additions, some will be replacements. Remember, we still haven't sorted out that right rotational wingback
Hmm.
situation
Reese.
for Reece James because we cannot rely on Aspilicueta in that position anymore. You know, Aspi when he plays has to occupy some of the either centre back or centre of the centre back three, that sort of thing. We can't have him as a wing back. He's lost a lot in terms of pace and energy. So that's another addition. That's not even a replacement. That is an addition that is required. I think going forward, it would be wonderful if Chelsea's defense would be Guardiola, Colwill, Chalobah and Fofana. I think that would be wonderful. With, of course, somebody like Koulibaly for his experience. I think that's where we should aim to be in terms of a back line. But the issue of Nkunku, if it's done, that's good. But we need to now start looking at other targets.
Yeah, but if we're being honest, the chances of us signing Vadio is very tight.
Well, people
Um,
say that. People say that, but I look at this. First of all, they say, "Oh, Real Madrid, Real Madrid, Real." Well, why did Real Madrid get Rudiger only to get Vardio? And Real Madrid have certainly have quite a few centre backs. They have quite a lot, and you have to ask yourself, will Vardio, in his young age, be prepared to mess around on the bench at Madrid? I think it's too early for him to be in that position. Then they talk about, I mean, whichever other super club he's linked with, they have more than enough defenders. It's Chelsea that actually have the need for defenders, already have the communication with his club, I think Leipzig, have
yeah.
already made an approach. I don't discount Chelsea at all. I don't,
No,
unless
I don't
somebody's.
discount them. I'm just saying it would be tight because Liverpool wants him, Man City wants him too.
Well, Liverpool, I don't know what they can really offer that Chelsea can't and won't be able to offer more. Man City, okay, they will offer him silly money, but a space on the bench may be waiting for him as well. And I just think we're in a good position. I hear you. I hear you. There's competition. But I've passed that time of being worried about competition for players. I think financially we're capable, and I think it comes with the turf. You want the best, you've got to jostle with the best to get the best.
Hmm.
And we have to be smart and quick to seal deals. Of course, he's going to be a coveted player. Of course, he is. But should that make us concerned? Nah, not really. It's now the likes of Bowley and Co. didn't invest in all these technical directors and marketing experts and scouts and all these people coming into the backroom staff to
Hmm.
start worrying about competition from other clubs. That's their job. They're there to seal these deals. So okay, bring it on. We want that player. Period.
Yeah, yeah. And here, the Bluetooth game says that it's a topping. Yeah, I love you, bro. I was only joking, but yeah, that was a topping, really. But thank you very much, bro. I appreciate it. Always good to have you around. Again, France should have recalled Benzema for that final. I think it would. It's a risk, really. I don't think it would have made any sort of sense to bring him back into the fold, and he wouldn't have made much difference to. Would you say Christian Pulisic still got future in the Chelsea team? I don't think so. Even again, and well answered there by Glenn. I think here's the thing. He himself couldn't commit to saying, yeah, he's staying at Chelsea. His response to the question on regarding his future at Chelsea shows that he probably has his mind set already on leaving the club, and I don't see because the only thing that will make it possible for him to commit his future to again to staying at Chelsea Football Club would be him playing constantly, playing week in week out. I don't see that happening at Chelsea Football Club, and it concerns us again to me. Uh, um, as concerned as I was for him under Thomas Tuchel, given the history he has with Thomas Tuchel, even from Borussia Dortmund, he sees him as an impact player off the bench, and that didn't change at Chelsea. And even he being helped matters when he had the chance to take the opportunity to stake a claim to become a starter. For instance, in the game, a few games towards the Champions League final, he started games about 3 games again consistently that had he played exceptionally well Thomas Tuchel would have had no option than to start him in the final, but he didn't take those chances. But that, to me, overall, I know he's a good player. He's a big game player too, but it looks like Graham Potter sees him from the same perspective that Thomas Tuchel sees him as an impact player off the bench. Even when we thought he'd be starting games after he came off the bench and helped us win a game, created a chance. I think he scored. What did he score one? I don't remember. One where he scored one. He started that game, but he was brilliant throughout the game. And in subsequent games, Raheem Sterling kept starting even when he was in poor form, and Christian Pulisic was in better form. So probably those things by now he would have made up his mind to leave the club. And I don't see what will make him stay again happening, which is him playing week in, week out. Bobby, do you have anything to say to the Christian Pulisic situation? And like Balogun said here, as he asked the question, would you say Pulisic still got future again in the Chelsea team? Your thoughts? I'm going to keep talking and reading what we have until Bobby comes back in. Let's see what he has to say regarding that statement. There are too many, again,
So, sorry, what's that?
this comment regarding Christian Pulisic, which says, would you say Christian Pulisic still got future in the Chelsea team? I'd say no. And that's down to him. Again, him wanting to be starting again. But what do you think?
I think it depends on one, players coming in, two, if Tuchel can start to get off this idea of playing people by reputation. I think towards the break this
Mm-hmm.
season,
Mm-hmm.
Pulisic was in far better form than Sterling and indeed Mount, and he wasn't played ahead of them, which I think is wrong. So the World Cup has been and gone. It's if you were using the World Cup as a reason for that, well, that reason doesn't exist anymore. And I think he should be playing ahead of either of them if they show the poor form they did before the break. Does he have a future at Chelsea? If he wants to be at a big club, he will always face competition wherever he goes. So expecting to be a starter, as you've said, is down to him. If he shows the form, he will start. I really believe that. And he will have a future at Chelsea. But it's a steep hill to climb for somebody with the injury record he has and
Mm-hmm.
somebody who can tend to lose form as well, like he does. So I wish him the best. I don't see him going anywhere until the end of this season, if he goes anywhere at all.
So you don't think if even if he gets to leave, it will not be in January?
No, no, he's not going in January. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Glenn says again, there are two again World Cup targets at the moment. Just because they had a good World Cup doesn't mean they will fit in at Chelsea. Yeah, again, a lot of names. That's just the truth. Lots of names being mentioned. Rafael Leao's transfer might be a good replacement for Pulisic. What's your take? Leao, to me, I think he'd be able to deal with the physicality of the Premier League better than Pulisic would. I wouldn't go to the extent of saying maybe he'd be a better player for Chelsea. Again, seeing is believing, really. Let me just put it that simple. Again, Toko, you mean Potter? I know, I understand Bobby meant Potter, but yeah, but even I sometimes still say Toko when I want to say Potter. It's just like when you can join in January period, you'd still be writing the previous year in class until a while. But that's by the way, Bobby. Just on a final note, I want to get from you: how many players do you think will be able to bring in this January window?
Well, we've kind of brought in one already, but he's not starting till July. I think there should be two. Um, and not well, maybe even three, because I think the club will be crazy not to look at a rotational right back for Reece James. I
Yeah, I
think
don't.
we
Mhm.
need to seal the deal for a defensive midfielder. Um, it would seem to be perhaps Alvarez. I don't know, and clearly we're on the trail for an attacker, and we will need an attacker because we don't have Brozier. So those are the three that I'm quite, I can't say confident, but I think is quite necessary for us to
Mhm.
do this January.
Yeah, I think at least two players. Otherwise, we'd be in serious trouble. And more importantly, a rotational player for Reece James, because I don't know how many times it's going to happen to us. Uh, we should learn by now. We should have learned by now that again, it has happened 3 seasons in a row. Actually, whatever he gets into, it is down south for us. Again, the remainder of the season. But that's by the way. Again, any update on Yusufa Mokoko? I haven't heard anything other than um, Dortmund are trying to keep him, and I think they will succeed in keeping him because they can talk about the case of uh, uh, players such as what's his name, Haaland, who stayed an extra year and have become an even better player because they're good at developing play. I'm sure Mokoko himself knows that. So I think they'll be able to convince him to stay one more year. So, guys, thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. We're at 59 likes. Just one more to get it to 50. And if you haven't, please do take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much to Adebayo Balogun. Thank you to Glenn. Thank you to Kim Soul. Thank you to the Bluetooth again, my brother here. And thank you to my brother from another mother, Liam Lane. Thank you so much for finding the time to join. Thank you, Supreme Force, Bassi, and every other person. And if I didn't say hello to you, apologies. I'm only human. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough. It's been a wonderful discussion, very civil and good debate overall. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. God bless us all and bye.